Have you ever wondered what your dog is thinking? Meet one funny dog, Enzo, the lovable mutt who tells this story. Enzo knows he is different from other dogs. Most dogs love to chase cars, but Enzo longs to race them. He learns about racing and the world around him by watching TV and by listening to the words of his best friend, Denny, an up-and-coming race car driver, and his daughter, Zoe, his constant companion. Enzo finds that life is just like being on the racetrack. It isn't simply about going fast. And applying the rules of racing to his world, Enzo takes on his family's challenges and emerges a hero. In the end, Enzo holds in his heart the dream that Denny will go on to be a racing champion with his daughter by his side. For theirs is an extraordinary friendship, one that reminds us all to celebrate the triumph of the human and canine spirit. Here is a preview of Racing in the Rain by Garth, Stein. Gestures are all that I have. Sometimes they must be grand in nature. And while I occasionally cross the line into the world of the melodramatic, it is what I must do in order to communicate clearly and effectively. In order to make my point understood, I have no words I can rely on because, much to my dismay, my tongue was designed long and flat and loose. It is a horribly ineffective tool for pushing food around my mouth while chewing, and an even less effective tool for making clever and complicated sounds that can be linked together to form sentences. And that's why I'm here now, waiting for Denny to come home. He should be here soon. I'm lying on the cool tiles of the kitchen floor in a puddle of my own urine. I'm old. And while I'm very capable of getting older, that's not the way I want to go out. Shot full of pain medication to reduce the swelling of my joints, vision fogged with cataracts, puffy, plasticky packages of doggy Depends stocked in the pantry. I'm sure Denny would get me one of those little wagons I've seen on the streets, the ones that cradle the hindquarters, so a dog can drag his butt behind him when things start to fail. That's humiliating and degrading. I'm not sure if it's worse than dressing up a dog for Halloween, but it's close. He would do it out of love, of course. I'm sure he would keep me alive as long as he possibly could. But I don't want to be kept alive because I know what's next. I've seen it on TV. A documentary I saw about Mongolia. It was the best thing I've ever seen on television, other than the 1993 Grand Prix of Europe, of course. That was the greatest automobile race of all time, in which Ayrton Senna proved himself to be a genius in the rain. After the 1993 Grand Prix, the best thing I've ever seen on TV is a documentary that explained everything to me, made it all clear. It told the whole truth. When a dog is finished living his lifetimes as a dog, his next life will be as a man. I've always felt almost human. I've always known that there's something about me that's different than other dogs. Sure, I'm stuffed into a dog's body, but that's just the shell. It's what's inside that's important. The soul. And my soul is very human. The door opens and I hear him with his familiar cry, "Yo, Zo!" Usually I can't help but put aside my pain and hoist myself to my feet. Then I'll wag my tail, sling my tongue around, and shove my face into his crotch. It takes human-like willpower to hold back on this particular occasion, but I do. I hold back. I don't get up. I'm acting. Enzo? I hear his footsteps, the concern in his voice. He finds me and looks down. I lift my head, wag my tail feebly so it taps against the floor. I play the part. He shakes his head and runs his hand through his hair. He sets down the plastic bag from the grocery that has his dinner in it. I can smell roast chicken through the plastic. Tonight he's having roast chicken and an iceberg lettuce salad. "Oh, Enz," he says. He reaches down to me, crouches, touches my head like he does, along the crease behind the ear. I lift my head and lick at his forearm. "What happened, kid?" he asks. Gestures can't explain. "Can you get up?" I try, and I scramble. My heart takes off, lunges ahead because no, I can't. I panic. I thought I was just acting, but I really can't get up. Darn, life imitating art. "Take it easy, kid," he says, pressing down on my chest to calm me. "I've got you." He lifts me easily. He cradles me, and I can smell the day on him. I can smell everything he's done. His work, the auto shop where he stands behind the counter all day. He makes nice with the customers who yell at him because their BMWs don't work right and it costs too much to fix them. And that makes them mad, so they have to yell at someone. I can smell his lunch. He went to the Indian buffet he likes, all you can eat. It's cheap, and sometimes he takes a container with him and steals extra portions of the tandoori chicken and yellow rice and has it for dinner, too. I can smell beer. He stopped somewhere. The Mexican restaurant up the hill. I can smell the tortilla chips on his breath. Now it makes sense. Usually I'm excellent at keeping track of time, but I wasn't paying attention because of my emotional thoughts. He places me gently in the tub and turns on the handheld shower thing and says, "Easy, Enz." He says, "Sorry I was late. I should have come straight home, but the guys from work insisted. I told Craig I was quitting, and I didn't want him to feel bad about this. I wanted him to see the obvious, that it's okay for him to let me go. He's been going through so much, and he's finally through it. He needs to not have me around to worry about anymore. He needs me to free him, to be brilliant. He is so brilliant. He shines. He's beautiful with his hands that grab things and his tongue that says things. And the way he stands and chews his food for so long, mashing it into a paste before he swallows. I will miss him and little Zoe. I know they will miss me, but I can't let these feelings get in the way of my grand plan. After this happens, Denny will be free to live his life, and I will return to Earth in a new form as a man. And when I return, I will find him and shake his hand and comment on how talented he is. Then I will wink at him and say, "Enzo says hello," and turn and walk quickly away. "Do I know you?" he will call. "Have we met before?" After the bath, he cleans the kitchen floor while I watch. He gives me my food, which I eat too quickly again, and sets me up in front of the TV while he prepares his dinner. "How about a tape?" he says. "Yes, a tape," I reply, but of course he doesn't hear me. He puts in a video from one of his races, and he turns it on, and we watch. It's one of my favorites. The racetrack is dry for the pace lap. Then just after the green flag is waved, indicating the start of the race, there is a wall of rain, a torrential downpour that engulfs the track. All the cars around him spin out of control, and he drives through them as if the rain didn't fall on him. It's like he had a magic spell that cleared water from his path. Just like the 1993 Grand Prix of Europe, when Senna passed 4 cars on the opening lap, and these were 4 of the best championship drivers in their championship cars. Schumacher, Wendlinger, Hill, Prost. He passed them all like he had a magic spell. Denny is as good as Ayrton Senna, but no one sees him because he has responsibilities. He has his daughter, Zoe, and he had his wife, Eve, who was sick until she died. And he has me. And he lives in Seattle when he should live somewhere else. And he has a job. But sometimes when he goes away, he comes back with a trophy. He shows it to me and tells me all about his races and how he shone on the track, how he taught those other drivers in Sonoma or Texas or mid-Ohio what driving in wet weather is really about. When the tape is over, he says, "Let's go out." And I struggle to get up. He lifts my butt into the air and centers my weight over my legs, and then I'm okay. To show him, I rub my muzzle against his thigh. There's my Enzo. We leave our apartment. The night is sharp, cool, and breezy and clear. We only go down the block and back because my hips hurt so much, and Denny sees. Denny knows. When we get back, he gives me my bedtime cookies, and I curl into my bed on the floor next to his. He picks up the phone and dials. "Mike," he says. Mike is Denny's friend from the shop where they both work behind the counter. Customer relations, they call it. Mike's a little guy with friendly hands that are pink and always washed clean of smell. "Mike, can you cover for me tomorrow? I have to take Enzo to the vet again." We've been going to the vet a lot recently to get different medicines that are supposed to help make me more comfortable. But they don't, really. And since they don't, and considering all that went on yesterday, I've set the master plan in motion. Denny stops talking for a minute, and when he starts again, his voice doesn't sound like his voice. It's rough, like when he has a cold or allergies. "I don't know," he says. "I'm not sure it's a round-trip visit." I may not be able to form words, but I understand them. And I'm surprised by what he said, even though I set it up. For a moment, I'm surprised my plan is working. It is the best thing for all involved, I know. It's the right thing for Denny to do. He's done so much for me my whole life. I owe him the gift of setting him free, letting him rise up. We had a good run, and now it's over. What's wrong with that? And this has been a preview of Racing in the Rain.